Shalom, fellow Zionists. Thank you for joining Jewish National Fund USA's weekly briefing. I am Saul Lizebrand, president of Jewish National Fund USA. It's day 187 of the war in Israel. Your continued support is deeply encouraging and gives us strength through daily analysis on U.S.-Israel relations, military positioning, hostage negotiations. This community brings us hope and inspires resilience. Our first speaker today can certainly speak to these uplifting sentiments. Tamar Shapiro is a seventh grader at Golda Academy in West Orange, New Jersey. Tamar recently celebrated her bat mitzvah, where she raised almost $15,000 and counting for families affected in the Israel envelope following the attacks of October 7th. Tamar did this after visiting the region with her family in 2022 and utilizing our B'nai Mitzvah project platform. Our CEO, Russell Robinson, was thrilled to be invited to Tamar's bat mitzvah, and when he heard her speech, he knew Tamar had to join our briefing so that she could share more about her outstanding achievements and initiative. Tamar, thank you for stepping out from your class to join us. Please tell us a little about your project and your experience in incorporating it into the milestone moment of your bat mitzvah. Tamar?
Yes, thank you. My name is Tamar Shapiro, and I'm a seventh grader at Golda Academy in West Orange, New Jersey. Thank you so much for inviting me to speak at this JNF weekly briefing and for giving me the opportunity to speak more about my bat mitzvah project. On March 30th, I was called to the Torah as a bat mitzvah at Congregation Bethel in South Orange, New Jersey, and officially became a full member of the Jewish community. Being part of the Jewish community has always played a big role in my life, and I was very excited to take another big step forward. My parsha was Parshat Tzav. It was also Shabbat Parah, one of the 4 special Shabbatot leading up to Pesach. This special Shabbat goes along with Shabbat Shkalim, Shabbat Zachor, and Shabbat HaChodesh, and they all have a super long maftir aliyot, like the one I studied and read at my bat mitzvah. My maftir for Shabbat Parah comes from Parshat Chukat. In this parsha, we learn a lot about the rituals that are required if one comes into contact with a dead body and therefore becomes tameh, impure. One part of the sacrifice ceremony stood out to me. After you burn the red cow, the parah adumah, you add in 3 plant species, cedar, hyssop, and crimson, to the ashes. The Torah tells us, L'akach hakohen eitz erez ve'ezov u'shnei tolaat v'yishlich el toch serifat ha'parah. And the priest shall take cedar wood, hyssop, and crimson, and throw them into the fire, consuming the cow. But why these 3 species? I mean, the Torah is not clear on a lot of stuff, so why are they so specific on these 3 types of plants? Rashi gives us multiple explanations as to the deeper meaning of the species. One of those explanations in particular stood out to me. Rashi explained how the 3 species correspond to the 3,000 people who died at Har Sinai following the sin of the golden calf. They died because God got so angry at them, he killed them. But wait, the golden calf happened weeks ago. Why are we still talking about it? If this sacrifice is about becoming tahor, pure, why are we discussing sins that we have made in the past? I believe that we incorporate this sin into the purification ceremony to remind us that humans are not perfect. The sin of the golden calf illustrates this point. By incorporating a sin that the Jewish people made into the purification ceremony, it reminds us that no matter how many sacrifices we make, we will continue to make mistakes and must always remember how to repent for them. Even Adam and Eve, the first people on earth, messed up, and today we still make mistakes, and that's okay. We carry our mistakes with us, though they don't define us. We are defined by how we move forward and learn from our actions. This comes in both the form of the Parah Adumah ritual and in apologizing and forgiving our friends and family, and never stopping when it comes to doing the right thing the next time. It's no secret that the world today isn't perfect either. As much as we want things to go our way, that's not possible. Of course, this is also very true in Israel, a place that I love, have visited twice, and have learned about my whole life. It has now been over 6 months since October 7th, and from then until today, Israel has experienced horrible pain and suffering. So many people lost loved ones, and many still remain in captivity. My heart continues to break for all of them, especially those who I was able to meet and spend time with during Pesach 2 years ago. During that trip to Israel, we visited the Gaza envelope because of my sister Vered and my cousin Maddie's bat mitzvah project with JNF. For their project, they raised enough money to sponsor the beautification of two bomb shelters, one in Ashkelon and one in Nitzan. We are so fortunate to be able to see both of these shelters and meet with the incredibly talented Israeli artist Eliasaf Meira, who created these masterpieces. In Magan, we visited the Groove Tech Children's Center that JNF built in the Eshkol region. This space was built in such a way that in case the rocket sirens go off during or after school, the students have a safe and fun place to go. I loved playing soccer on the safe room floor, virtual reality with the special headsets, visiting the planetarium, building on the enormous Lego wall, experiencing the arcade center, and so much more. The people we met there told us that it was worth it to live in this area because life was so wonderful and filled with friends and incredible support from all over the world. I met kind and generous people there, like Yedidia Harush. He grew up in Gaza but now lives in Shlomi. Yedidia and his wife Shiran welcomed us into their moshav and served us a delicious lunch. After lunch, we played on their awesome playground. We then went on ATV rides in the desert dunes on the border of Egypt and Gaza. It was so much fun. I had so much fun visiting the Gaza envelope and meeting the incredible people who call this beautiful land their home. After seeing the horrors of what they and their neighbors went through on October 7th, I knew that I wanted to do my part by helping to raise important funds to help them rebuild their lives. For my bat mitzvah project, I worked with JNF to help these incredible people in the Gaza envelope. My original goal was to raise $10,000, but thanks to so many friends and family, we quickly exceeded that goal. As of today, I I raised over $15,000. My goal at the moment is to raise $20,000, and I'm happy to keep pushing it up if people continue to support this very important project. Becoming a bat mitzvah has meant so much to me. I was able to put on a talit for the first time that I absolutely love, and I received it from Israel as a gift from my Saba and Nana. It was also amazing to read from the Torah while using the yod that was handmade from olive wood for me by my Saba and Safta. My Tali and yod connected me to my family, including all of those who were with me at my bat mitzvah and all of the past generations as well. I feel an incredible connection to all of them and to the Jewish people as I have now taken my place as a full member of the community. Thank you to Russell Robinson, Efrat Gilman, Bev Gutterman, and the entire JNF community for inviting me to speak today and for helping to make my Bat Mitzvah project even more meaningful thanks to this project. And because I really enjoyed the fundraising part, I want to finish by inviting all of you to check out my fundraising page, photos, and updates, and of course, feel free to donate as well to help me reach my new goal. Have a great day.
Wow, Tamar, I thought Taylor Swift was a superstar. You surpassed Taylor Swift for sure. So thank you so much. Please convey our thanks to your teachers for letting you step out. We're so proud of what you've done, and it means so much for us to see JNF USA inspire Zionism and tzedakah from generation to generation, door to door. We should share that your sister Vered also used the JNF USA platform for her bat mitzvah project and raised over $13,000. We aren't too surprised as your father, Adam Shapiro, is an alumni of JNF USA's Alexander Muss High School in Israel. May you continue on this righteous path always. Mazel tov when your bat mitzvah. And if anyone on this call wishes to support Tamar's effort, The link to her personal fundraising page is being dropped in the chat right now. You can also read more on the JNF USA's B'nai Mitzvah program on our website, and we're dropping that link in the chat now. Our speaker today is Dr. Logan Levkoff. Logan wears many hats. She is the chair of the Jewish National Fund USA's Caravan for Democracy Leadership Mission, a program that annually takes 80 non-Jewish college student leaders to Israel to see and experience the country for themselves. Logan is also an internationally recognized expert on relationships, authoring several books on adolescents and the challenges they face. However, in the last few years, Logan has become a sought-after voice in the Jewish influencer space, using her platform to combat anti-Semitism and foster unapologetic Jewish pride. She's proving that the, quote, Jewish mom, end quote, is no longer the punchline of a joke, but rather a fearless warrior for Jewish and Zionist pride. Logan?
Thank you so much, Saul. Good day to all of you in the States. Good evening to those of you in Israel. My name is Logan Levkoff, and I am very honored to speak with you all today. I was thinking about the story I wanted to share today, and my plan is this. I want to make you sad, mad, and then empowered. This story is definitely an emotional roller coaster, but to be honest, that is very much the experience of being a Jew. I've always been a proud Zionist, but there is no question that my life as a whole and my passion for Israel has changed dramatically in the last few years. I've given a lot of thought to why I feel Israel in every fiber of my being. It would be easy to say that she's a place that I feel tied to because of my grandfather, Milton Shapiro. He was my person, and maybe that's how it started. But that's not it. Sometime in the last few years, I have found myself feeling untethered, desperate to connect to a place that is bigger than me, desperate for some spiritual grounding, despite the fact that I am not religious. I needed to get my feet on the ground and my hands in the dirt. In December of 2022, I was in Boston at National Conference speaking on a panel entitled Champions of Zionism. It was the weekend of my grandfather's yahrzeit, and as I watched Russell's opening plenary, I cried. I cried at the magnificent development that JNF had been responsible for since my grandfather's presidency in the 90s. I cried knowing that Russell knew my grandfather and was one of the last JNF connections to him. And I cried because I realized that despite my work sending non-Jewish student leaders to Israel on Caravan and combating anti-Zionism online and in schools, despite sending my own teenager to Alexander Muss High School in Israel, that same now college student is on this Zoom right now. Hi, Maverick. It had been 7 years since my last visit. And in that moment, I felt like I was losing my footing. I came home from Boston and said, I need to go now. I left for Israel 4 weeks later. In the last 16 months, I've been back to Israel 5 times, 6 if you count tomorrow. Yes, tomorrow I return to Israel for my 4th trip since October 7th. To say that I feel privileged and humbled by the opportunity to be back would be a great understatement. To say that my family is afraid that I'm going to just pick up and make Aliyah without telling them is not entirely an understatement. But the truth is, there's nowhere in the world I'd rather be, even during a war. Why? Well, for one, as some of you may know, it's exhausting being a diaspora Jew. From the moment I wake up in the morning, my transformation from under-caffeinated mom to Jewish warrior begins. It's true. I put on armor the moment I open my eyes. The armor is designed to protect me from a myriad of enemies. The professor who assigns a grossly anti-Semitic book to one of my kids, the other student who calls my kid an ethnic cleanser, the person on the subway who may hate me when they see my Magen David on my finger, which I am not taking off, or the many, and I mean many, people online who wish for my death in various, though not so creative ways. Sometimes the enemy is obvious, other times they're hiding, but often in plain sight. I can promise you one thing, I am always ready. I've been on high alert for as long as I can remember. In fact, I'm not even sure I know a time when I wasn't. Israel is the only place where I can breathe. And despite the war going on, to those of you who know what I do for a living, it's probably not a surprise. My field is currently chock full of Jew hate. My professional industry is sexuality education. Yeah, great place to be now, despite the fact that my field was actually pioneered by Jews. For almost 30 years, I have amplified issues that I felt deeply passionate about, even if they weren't issues that directly impacted me. All of those issues have come from my Jewish values, from my Zionist values. And now it's almost laughable that a field devoted to consent and queer rights and indigeneity and bodily autonomy and reproductive justice has, let's just say, come out as believing all of those things, unless you're Jewish or Israeli. I have watched my professional peers tie themselves into knots to justify their anti-Semitism. And if you're wondering, do I feel betrayed? The answer is yes. Yes, yes, yes. But it has given me an unbelievable opportunity to press the refresh button on all of it. I lead with Zionism everywhere I go. And it's become an unbelievable litmus test to determine who I want and who I'm willing to have in my life. I mean, let's just say my circle is getting a little bit smaller. But I was trained to deal with adversity. I have an expertise in difficult conversations. I was a young person talking about sex publicly, on TV, and in the early days of the internet. Sean Hannity, yes, that one, once suggested to his audience that I take underage girls to get abortions without parental consent. I don't, in case you're wondering, but trust me, I know what it's like to be on the receiving end of hate. It has taken a long time, and thanks to my dermatologist, you cannot tell, but I have some seriously thick skin. And yet, despite the sex talk and everything else, I will tell you that I have never dealt with hate the way I have since speaking up for Israel. I wasn't kidding when I said that on any given day, people call for my death. I am called a Nazi, genocide Barbie, I get that one a lot, Zio pig, grossly misogynistic terms I cannot say on this Zoom, and I have been told more than once that it is a shame that Hamas missed me. Remember when I said I have thick skin? I don't back down, and I won't stop. The stakes are too high. I've been screaming into the void for years, or at least it feels that way, begging people to wake up. This has never been just about Israel. This is about world Jewry. For those of us working in Zionist education, whether professionally or as a labor of love, or those of us who have teens or college students, we have seen the undercurrents of blatant Jew hatred masked as anti-Zionism bubbling under the surface for years. We see it in elementary schools, middle schools, and high schools. In the last 5 years, long before October 7th, my own family experienced school speakers who compared Jews to Nazis, speakers who demonized Israel, teachers who publicly supported BDS. Oh, but don't worry, I found them because they're stupid enough to have public accounts. Anti-Zionist Holocaust teachers who told my son that, I quote, Soviet anti-Zionism was a legitimate political movement, to which he replied, his great-great-grandparents did not flee because they yearned to see Jerusalem. I mean, he is my kid after all. And if we had all day, I could regale you with stories, highly entertaining, by the way, of how I threatened to make an anti-Semitic incident at my son's hyper-progressive New York City private school an international PR nightmare for them. I even called the civil rights attorney. I am not a Jew with trembling knees, which is good because a fight is what we currently have, and I am relentless. Can you imagine what it's like to live with me? You could probably ask Maverick in the chat. I'm sure he can regale you with all of it. Sorry, Mav. And while Maverick is a freshman on college campus, and his campus is considered pretty good compared to so many other universities, including my own alma mater, the University of Pennsylvania, shameful, it isn't without its challenges, like Jewish anti-Zionist professors assigning anti-Semitic texts and failing certain students on assignments for not following the class party line. But I feel so very proud that our kids know the importance of speaking up. And if you think I'm fierce, my offspring is just as fearless, but a hell of a lot nicer than me. I was raised to use my voice for good, and I knew how lucky I was growing up. And there is nothing better than using my voice to fight for Jews and our homeland. I consider it my greatest honor to follow in the footsteps of Zionist leaders who came before me, particularly those that I am related to. I've done that online and in person, and sure, has it come at a cost? Yes, it has. But if I'm not fighting for us, who am I fighting for? On October 7th, I was certain that my soul had shattered into pieces, impossible to repair. I couldn't eat, I cried all the time, and to be honest, I feel guilty about that. I wasn't in Israel, I was here. My biggest challenges were getting my daughter's high school to let us have an emergency Jewish parent meeting, marching at rallies, donating money, desperately waiting for my Israeli friends to reply on WhatsApp, desperately waiting to see which of my American friends was going to ask me if I was okay. It all seemed luxurious by comparison. Screaming online, debunking lies, making myself a target, despite how much I enjoy it at times, wasn't sufficient. I felt that untethering all over again. I wanted my feet on the ground and my hands in the dirt. I had to be in Israel. I had to put my arms around the people I love and let them know I was there and wasn't going anywhere. At the end of October, I emailed Russell and Dina, when are we going? I want to be on the first trip. And I know I was not the only person to send that very same email. Since December, I have now taken part in 2 different JNF volunteer missions, and our daughter Memphis was on the JNF teen volunteer mission 3 weeks ago. All of them have been extraordinary. I have watched people thrilled to get dirty, to feel like they were doing something, anything to help. I have watched people who have never been to Israel before step up and say, this is my time. I have watched people who may typically be difficult and demanding travelers let it all go, be flexible, not sweat the small stuff because they now realize that the small stuff is meaningless. And the appreciation for volunteers is boundless, but I'm not entirely sure I deserve it. Because to be honest, selfishly, I go to Israel so that I can feel less alone too. But despite the barrage of absurd information and news or things that are masked as news, I don't feel alone in the same way that I did early in the war. I know who I am. We know who we are. We have gotten a horrible and simultaneously important wake-up call. We got too comfortable here. We actually started to think that Israel needed us more than we needed her. We could not have been more wrong. We are one family. And sure, families argue. Families don't always share the same political values, but we have each other. And in the end, we only have each other. So this is the time. We need to be sending our children, grandchildren, nieces, nephews to Israel. We need to be going as a family. Bar and bat mitzvah trips are not enough. We need to send our kids to Mus. We need to make sure that Jewish families understand their ancestral connections to Israel, to give them the tools to understand and fearlessly support Zionism. We need to be teaching modern Hebrew in community centers and religious schools to connect us to Israeli culture. I can tell you that trying to learn it now without vowels is neither easy nor pretty. I think that means I'm trying to speak Hebrew, but it is very difficult. In the end, here is my plea to all of you. Support Israel. Visit Israel. See the Israeli spirit, the resilience, the devotion to justice, and witness the heartbreak. because we are one family. And whether we like it or not, October 7th and its aftermath are now part of our story as diaspora Jews too. And we get to control what happens next in this incredible story of ours. Thank you so much for giving me the platform to speak, and for all of the generations who came before and all of those yet to be born. Am Yisrael Chai.
Well, Logan, thank you so much for those inspiring words. And for those of us that have been on a JNF volunteer mission, you're exactly right. It's like no other mission. It is life-changing. So thank you for joining us today. I want to note that Logan is a member of the JNF Global Speakers Bureau, and you can reach out to us to help bring her to your community. Visit us at jnfglobalspeakers.org. Next, we will turn to Michal Shiloah Galnoor, the Director of Western Galilee Now and the Lauder Employment Center North. The WGN is a small business consortium supported by Jewish National Fund USA, overseeing many of the region's small tourism operators and artisanal businesses, and in support of JNF USA's Go North strategy. As of this week, together with our Mitzvah marketplace, Michal and the WGN have delivered over 2,300 care packages to soldiers and evacuees since October 7th, providing some comfort both to the recipients and the struggling businesses in the north of Israel. Michal, thank you for all you're doing and for joining us today. Michal?
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for also coming on these amazing volunteer missions. Today, we actually, I cooked with, I didn't cook actually, but met about one bus. Logan, you also joined us on one of the visits at Basma, a Druze restaurant that became kosher in order to cook for soldiers. And together with the volunteers, we cooked over 420 meals to very happy soldiers. I'm talking to you from my little village in the Galilee that usually is very serene. I've been living here for the past 18 years. And this past 6 months have been very, very hard. I actually was away. I evacuated myself and my family for over 110 days until Jewish National Fund USA brought 2 bomb shelters to my village and allowed me and many other people to be able to come back and return and live here. We're a bit in a limbo in time. We don't know what's going to happen. People say that, oh, we're very happy that the Negev and the Otef is coming back and returning, being able to return, but we're still stuck in October up here. But we're optimistic and we're doing everything we can. Because of you working with me, we've managed to help so many small businesses with these packages. Actually, it's like a lifeline. A lot of them are evacuated or closed or have no work. And without these packages, these small businesses would have closed by now. This is an honest statement. So this is, first of all, amazing. And all these, the packages can be bought on the JNF Mitzvah marketplace for soldiers and evacuee families. And you're doing good for the evacuees and soldiers and also for the small businesses. But not only that, we've been doing so much more together. We've actually, the businesses that can't, the tourist operators that can't be packed into boxes, we help them do workshops with evacuee families so they can do what they love. And if it's theater and culture and dance and art workshops, we've been helping them continue to do that. With the Lauder Employment Center, we've managed to help evacuees search for new jobs. Employment has always been a problem in the Galilee. This is what our Go North Task Force is all about, helping with this employment here in the North. But since the war, this has been the #1 urgency right now in the Galilee. So we're working with employers and we're working with evacuees to re-find a new job in their new places. We're helping them recruit the employers. We're helping people searching for job find a way to find a new job. We're helping them with resilience as well. People right now have layers of problems. They have to rent new places. A lot of them can't stay in hotels in one rooms right now. So they move to a new place. They have to put their children into new schools, and they have to find a new job. So Lauder Employment Center helps them connect to possibilities of new employment. It really is a moment to thank you, Jewish National Fund USA. I said when we went through COVID, it was bad. It was really, really bad. But you had our back, and we managed to pull through. And then we had terrible riots in mixed cities like Akko, where we have the beautiful JNF Tourist Information Center. And it was demolished, it was burnt. And you rebuilt, and you gave us hope. And when I thought it can't get worse, it got worse. This horrendous, terrible Black Sabbath of October 7th was the worst. But then I knew you have my back, and we've been managing to rebuild and to see a future for the north of Israel. And I thank you for that. I thank you for standing with us. I thank you for coming on these volunteer missions, for buying the packages, these support packages in the Mitzvah market, for helping with bomb shelters, and just for loving us and being there. And yeah, Am Yisrael Chai.
So Michal, thank you so much. And you know that that you and our other affiliates are not just affiliates, you're family with JNF USA. So, thank you so much for joining us today. We're thrilled to share a special partnership that brings our insightful weekly briefings directly to screens through Izzy, the premier streaming platform dedicated to Israeli content. Under the Izzy series titled Focus on Israel, people can stay connected with the heart and soul of our nation, no matter where you are in the world. Every week, Izzy's Focus on Israel will feature in-depth interviews and discussions like those we have on our briefings, and it will broaden JNF USA's reach. So please tell your friends and watch out for our special promotion during Passover for free access to Izzy TV. To learn more on the impact you're having on the ground, visit jnf.org/support Israel. As always, we encourage you to travel to Israel with us on a volunteer working mission. Visit jnf.org/volunteeril to learn more and to register. We will see you next Wednesday, April 17th at the same time. Am Yisrael Chai.